When the system collapses, it won't be variety that keeps you alive. It'll be strategy. Forget the idea of gourmet meals or shelves stocked with endless snacks. Survival isn't about choice. It's about making it through when the supply chain stops feeding you. And here's the hard truth. Most of what people panic buy is worthless. It vanishes quickly, spoils fast, and gives you little return when you need it most. Stockpiling isn't about hoarding everything in sight. It's about precision. 5 foods, that's all it takes. Lock down the right 5, and you'll cover calories, nutrition, and endurance. Anything beyond that? Just dead weight. That's why we're stripping it down to the essentials. The 5 foods you need to survive. Simple, cheap, and powerful. Miss one, and you'll feel it. Secure all 5, and you'll outlast the chaos while others burn through their snacks in days. And number 5? It's the wild card. Something nobody expects, yet it might outlast them all. Number 1. Rice. Rice isn't just another grocery item. It's the line between those who claim they're prepared and those who truly are. Flash all the gear you want, stack shelves with expensive MREs, or brag about your bug-out bag. But without rice, you're not prepping, you're pretending. Here's the truth survival companies won't admit. Rice is too cheap, too reliable, and too effective for them to make money from. They can't slap a $200 label on it like they do with their freeze-dried buckets, so they distract you with gimmicks and shiny packaging, while seasoned preppers quietly stock rice by the hundreds of pounds. The real survivors won't be the ones with flashy kits. They'll be the ones with airtight buckets of rice, fueling them through months of collapse while others fight for scraps. The numbers don't lie. A 50-pound bag costs about $25. That's thousands of calories. Real survival fuel, not sugar spikes from overpriced energy bars. Do the math. On a cost per calorie basis, rice beats almost every other food. When disaster hits, the people relying on 72-hour kits will be starving after a week. The ones with rice will still be eating steady meals. Rice isn't filler, it's a foundation. Pair it with beans, and you've got complete protein, the exact fuel muscles and brains need. Add canned vegetables, and you've got a balanced plate. Even with nothing but oil and salt, rice carries you through. Entire civilizations rose on rice. Armies marched, empires grew, populations thrived, all powered by this one crop. And yet modern survival guides tell you to stock chia seeds and kale chips. Spoiler, when shelves go empty, nobody's fighting for kale chips. They'll fight for rice. Calories matter, but survival is also psychological. Food is morale. A bowl of hot rice feels like a meal. It tells your brain, you're safe, you're fed, you can keep going. Compare that to chewing on a bland survival bar. Who cracks first? The one with a steaming plate of food, or the one choking down astronaut snacks? But here's where most rookies fail. Storage. Tossing a 20-pound sack in the pantry won't cut it. Rice left exposed will betray you. Moisture, bugs, and rot will ruin it. Real preppers use the formula: Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, and food-grade buckets. Done properly, that $25 sack turns into a 30-year safety net. Buy it once, and it can feed your grandchildren. Nothing else comes close. Bread molds in days. Chips go stale in weeks. Even canned goods can't rival rice's longevity. Rice is eternal, and here's the warning sign most ignore. Rice is already under pressure. In the last year, global rice prices spiked more than 14% thanks to droughts, wars, and export bans. That's not regular inflation. It's a red alert. One more shock, a flood, a war, or a trade collapse, and rice prices could double overnight. Think you'll just pick some up later? You won't. When crisis hits, rice is gone in hours. The ones who waited will starve. The ones who prepared will endure. No, you won't be strolling into the store later to grab a bag. You'll be standing in a grocery line with desperate people, fighting over a sack of rice that now costs $50 instead of $25. Meanwhile, the quiet preppers you rolled your eyes at will be at home calm, fed, and untouched by the chaos. Let's be clear, if your stockpile doesn't start with rice, you're not prepping. You're playing dress up. You're acting out a fantasy, not preparing for reality. Rice is the cornerstone, the foundation, the first brick of real survival. Everything else is noise. And the irony? The same people who mock rice as boring will be the first ones begging, bargaining, or stealing for it. But here's the twist. Rice alone is powerful, but rice paired with the next food on this list? That's where survival transforms into thriving. Together, they don't just keep you alive, they make you unstoppable. And that's what separates those who barely scrape through a crisis from those who dominate it. Number 2. Beans. Dry or canned. If rice is the backbone, beans are the muscle. They're the raw power that turns plain carbs into a survival engine. And let's kill the nonsense right now. If you don't have beans stacked next to your rice, your so-called prep stash is nothing but a Pinterest project. Jerky? Overpriced and gone in a week. Protein powder? A scam in a plastic tub. Survival meat buckets? That's just marketing for people who don't understand how quickly meat spoils without freezers. You want real staying power in your pantry? You want beans. Period. Here's the part most people can't handle. Beans replace meat. That's not theory. That's fact. Rice and beans together form the exact complete protein profile you'd get from steak, chicken, or fish, without worrying about spoilage, refrigeration, or hunting fantasies you'll never live out. Civilizations didn't just survive on beans and rice, they thrived. For centuries, when famine, war, and collapse swept the world, beans were the fallback that kept people alive. But modern preppers? Too many of them fall into rookie traps. They blow cash on chips, candy, overpriced jerky, and sugary cereals. Then they sneer at beans for being boring. You know what's boring? Starving. You know what's worse? Realizing your survival plan was built on Doritos and protein bars. Beans are the opposite of hype. They're substance. They fill you up, fuel you steady, and keep you moving when everything else has run out. Dry beans? That's your long-haul arsenal. Stored in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, they'll last 20 to 30 years. That's not just food, that's generational insurance in edible form. And if you're whining about soaking beans being too much work, congratulations. You've just told the world you're not cut out for survival. Crisis doesn't care about your convenience. Survival takes work, and beans pay back that effort 100-fold. Canned beans? That's your instant win button. No soaking, no cooking fuel, no waiting. Pop the lid and eat straight from the can if you have to. When the power's out, canned beans mean you're eating full, hearty meals while everyone else is staring at their dead microwave hoping for a miracle. And forget the argument that canned goods are too heavy for bug-out bags. In a real emergency, calories and protein matter more than ounces. Ask anyone who's lived through disaster zones. Beans beat empty weight every time. And the economics? Beans are financial sabotage against the survival industry. A single pound of dry beans costs $1 to $2 and delivers 6 to 8 hearty servings. That's protein at less than 20 cents a meal. Even canned beans under $1 a can crush the so-called value of $300 survival kits filled with powdered dust. That's exactly why the industry doesn't push beans. They're too cheap, too effective, and too honest. They can't repackage them with a shiny label and sell them for $200 a bucket. But don't fool yourself into thinking prices will always stay this low. In just the past year, beans, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, and pintos jumped 15 to 20% in many areas thanks to droughts, shipping logjams, and political instability. When the next shock hits, and it will, beans will vanish faster than toilet paper in 2020. And the same people who laughed at them. They'll be back, paying triple, begging, trading, maybe even stealing, to get what you stored for pennies. Here's the bottom line. Beans aren't optional. They're not extra. They're non-negotiable. They're the muscle that makes your survival body strong. Without them, your stockpile is a hollow shell. With them, you've got the power to endure. Rice alone will keep you alive. Rice with beans will keep you thriving. Together, they form the greatest food alliance in human history. If your prepper pantry doesn't have both in bulk, then your so-called plan is nothing but a fragile illusion. But if beans are the muscle, then number 3 is the stamina. The overlooked survival food that keeps your energy steady while everyone else crashes. This one isn't just fuel, it's endurance. And most preppers are criminally underestimating it. Number 3. Oats. Oats are the silent assassin of survival food. The underdog no one respects until it saves their life. Everyone hypes rice, beans, and canned goods. But oats? They're ignored, shrugged off, left sitting on the shelves. That's the biggest rookie mistake in prepping. Because when crisis hits, the smart ones with sacks of oats in storage will have light, fast, steady fuel, while the amateurs waste half a day's propane just trying to make beans edible. Here's the ugly truth nobody likes to admit. Most people prep breakfast like children. They stockpile cereal, Pop-Tarts, pancake mix, all the sugar bombs that made modern diets weak in the first place. In survival mode, that comfort food buys you nothing but a quick rush, a crash, and zero endurance. You don't need dopamine. You need fuel that carries you. A bowl of oats keeps you moving for hours. Cereal gives you 20 minutes before you're yawning and crashing. In survival, steady energy isn't optional. It's life. The guy who starts his day with oats works, endures, survives. The guy choking down Lucky Charms is just waiting to collapse. And the secret power of oats? Versatility. Most people think oatmeal and nothing else. Wrong. Oats are a blank canvas. Sweet with honey, fruit, or powdered milk. Savory with broth, bouillon, or canned meat. Grind them into flour for bread, tortillas, or pancakes. Toss them into soups and stews to stretch calories. Oats adapt to whatever you have. They keep meals varied without bloating your stockpile with 50 specialty items. Meanwhile, survival foods like protein bars or powdered shakes box you into one boring flavor until food fatigue breaks your morale. And food fatigue does break people. Oats destroy that problem with infinite flexibility. Now let's talk efficiency. Survival isn't just food, it's fuel. Rice and beans are incredible, but they cost you time, water, and energy to cook. In a world where firewood, propane, and clean water are more precious than gold, that's a liability. Oats? A splash of hot water and you're eating in minutes. Fuel saved is life extended. And if it comes to desperation, you can eat oats raw. Not delicious, but it works. Try that with raw rice or beans. You won't survive long enough to regret it. Storage is as simple as it gets. Rolled oats keep in the pantry for 1 to 2 years. Seal them in Mylar with oxygen absorbers, and you've got a decade of security. Steel-cut oats last even longer. Whole oat groats, up to 30 years when stored properly. Pro move. Pack smaller, vacuum-sealed portions so you don't compromise your entire stash each time you open one. That's not just food storage, that's edible insurance. And here's where the math crushes the prepper industry. A 42-ounce tub of oats costs under $5. That's weeks of breakfasts for pocket change. Meals for under 50 cents each. Compare that to a $12 survival bar that doesn't last till lunch. Or a $300 emergency bucket that's half sugar and salt. Prepping companies don't hype oats because they can't slap a gold-plated sticker on them. They're too cheap, too effective, and too real. If people woke up to that, the survival meal kit industry would collapse overnight. But oats aren't invincible. They're already in the crosshairs. In the past year, oat prices spiked 15% in some markets thanks to droughts, grain shortages, and shipping chaos. One flood, one export ban, one war. And oats vanish faster than toilet paper did in 2020. When that happens, you'll see people fighting in grocery aisles over cereal boxes, while you're at home eating oats like a king. Here's the bottom line. Oats aren't hype. They're survival gold. Fast, light, versatile, filling, fuel efficient. They sharpen your mind, steady your body, and keep you moving when everyone else burns out. Ignore them, and you'll regret it the first morning you wake up hungry, out of energy, and staring at a bag of beans you can't even cook. And if oats are the silent assassin, wait until you see number 4. The survival food that doesn't just feed you, it shields you. Because this next food doesn't just keep you alive, it turns scraps and leftovers into something that feels like home. And in survival, that psychological comfort can be the difference between breaking down and breaking through. Number 4. Flour or wheat. Flour isn't just food, it's civilization in powdered form. And here's the hard truth. If your prepper stash doesn't include flour or wheat berries, you're not surviving, you're suffering. You can stack cans to the ceiling and fill a bunker with overpriced freeze-dried meals, but the person with flour is the one eating like a king. Why? Because flour isn't just about calories, it's about morale. And morale in survival is every bit as vital as water. Lose morale and you lose the will to fight. Flour keeps you in the game. Here's what most preppers never figure out. Survival isn't about choking down bland mush until you gag. It's about turning scraps into real meals. Beans by themselves? Miserable. Beans with fresh tortillas? Now you've got a feast. Oats getting boring? Mix in flour and you've got pancakes. Even if you've got no yeast, no baking powder, no fancy gear, flour can still be shaped into flatbreads that travel light, fill your belly, and remind you of home. Add a little yeast or baking powder, and suddenly you're pulling biscuits, bannock, or survival bread out of the pan. The kind of food that restores humanity in the middle of chaos. While your neighbor is spooning cold beans out of a rusty can, you'll be breaking bread, literally, with your family. That edge is priceless. But let's rip the bandage off. Flour doesn't store like rice or oats. Toss a 10-pound bag into your pantry and you'll be staring at bugs or rancid flour in less than a year. That's why rookies give up on it. They think flour spoils too fast, so they write it off. Serious preppers don't play that game. They go long-term. Seal flour in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, and you're looking at 5 years of shelf life. Want to future-proof even further? Stock wheat berries. Whole wheat kernels in their raw form. Stored in food-grade buckets with oxygen absorbers. Wheat berries last for decades. Grind them when you need flour, and you've got a fresh, nutritious survival staple on demand. That's not just prepping. That's generational food insurance. Dabblers buy flour. Real survivors stock wheat berries. And don't forget the economics. Flour is dirt cheap, for now. $5 to $7 gets you a 10-pound bag. That's pennies per serving. Less than a quarter for a stack of tortillas. 50 cents for a family-sized loaf of bread. Compare that to $300 survival buckets filled with powdered mush and regret. And it's laughable. But here's the warning. Wheat is already under pressure. In just the past 2 years, global wheat prices jumped double digits thanks to droughts, fertilizer shortages, and export bans. That $5 bag of flour? Soon it could be $15, $20, or gone entirely. Because history never lies. When shortages strike, bread is always the first food people riot over. Check any country that's lived through famine or war. When bread disappears, societies burn. So let's be blunt. Flour isn't optional. It's mandatory. It stretches your calories, fuels your morale, and transforms desperation into normalcy. Without it, you're just scraping by. With it, you're surviving with dignity. But carbs and protein will only carry you so far. Without fat, your body collapses. Your brain, your hormones, your immune system, all of it depends on fat. That's why number 5 is the survival wildcard. the calorie-dense powerhouse that most people ignore. Number 5. Peanut butter, or any fat-rich food. Peanut butter is the wild card of survival. It's the difference between people who think they're ready and the ones who actually are. Most folks pile up carbs, rice, beans, oats, flour, because they're cheap, filling, and long-lasting. But here's the truth no one talks about. Without fat, your survival plan has a fatal flaw. Carbs might give you quick bursts of energy. Protein helps repair your muscles. But fat is what keeps the machine running. It fuels your brain, cushions your organs, supports your immune system, and even helps you stay warm when temperatures crash. Ignore fat, and you invite disaster. There's even a historical term for it: rabbit starvation. Explorers and wilderness survivors learned the hard way that eating nothing but lean meat and grains can literally kill you if fat is missing from the diet. That's why peanut butter isn't just a tasty extra. It's survival gold. One spoonful delivers nearly 200 calories, packed with fat, protein, and energy. In a crisis, that means a single jar can power you through a full day of work without touching the stove. While rice, beans, and oats form the backbone of your meals, peanut butter adds comfort, variety, and fuel. Spread it on flatbread, stir it into oatmeal, or mix it with beans to make them richer and more filling. And if you're on the move, nothing beats its simplicity. No cooking, no fire, no fuel. Just open the jar, scoop, and keep moving. That kind of instant convenience could be the difference between pushing through exhaustion or collapsing when chaos hits. Where peanut butter shines even brighter is storage. While most oils spoil quickly, a sealed jar of peanut butter can last 1 to 2 years easily, often longer when kept in a cool, dark place. Rotate jars as you use them, and you'll always have fresh stock. For survival, the processed, shelf-stable varieties outperform the natural versions that separate, because reliability outweighs purity when your life depends on it. If peanuts aren't an option, almond butter, sunflower butter, or tahini can fill the gap. But none match peanut butter's unique balance of cost, calories, and storage stability. Olive oil or coconut oil can be kept as backup calorie bombs. But peanut butter remains the anchor fat for endurance and practicality. Then there's the barter factor. Rice and beans are common. Everyone will have them. But not everyone will have fat. And that scarcity turns peanut butter into currency. Imagine the desperation of people stuck eating plain grains or canned vegetables when you trade them a jar of peanut butter. Compact, calorie-rich, universally loved. It carries more value than its size suggests. In a survival economy, it could buy you medicine, candles, or fresh food when money is worthless. The economics are unbeatable. A 16-ounce jar costs just $2 to $4 and contains nearly 3,000 calories. That's less than 15 cents per 100 calories. Cheaper than protein bars, cheaper than freeze-dried meals, and far more versatile. But here's the warning. Peanut crops are already under pressure. Droughts, fertilizer shortages, and rising costs have driven prices up by nearly 10% this past year. When the next disruption hits, peanut butter won't just vanish from prepper shelves, it'll vanish from everyone's kitchens. Peanut butter isn't just another jar in your pantry. It's a survival tool, a calorie bomb, a morale booster, and a barter chip all in one. It delivers what your body can't live without, keeps your spirits up when meals get monotonous, and provides instant energy without cooking. Right now, it's cheap and easy to take for granted. But in a real crisis, it will feel like luxury. The people who stack it now will be the ones eating well while others scrape the bottom of empty cans. And that's the lesson. Survival isn't about variety or gimmicks. It's about securing the handful of foods that actually keep you alive. Most people will waste money on snacks and flashy kits, only to watch them spoil or disappear when shelves go bare. The ones who stock these 5 essentials, rice, beans, oats, flour, and peanut butter, will stay fueled, steady, and strong when everyone else is scrambling. These aren't optional. They're the bare minimum, the line between thriving and breaking down. Once supply chains snap, regret won't restock your pantry. The time to prepare is now. So ask yourself, if you could only pick one of these 5 to stock deep, which would it be? Drop it in the comments, and remember, survival doesn't start in a bunker. It starts in your pantry. Stay sharp. Stay prepared. Your future self will thank you.